Hello everyone, Dungeon Frog here, and today I want to showcase a new build I'm working on, and it's a Deadeye Reaper build. And the Deadeye got buffed in a hotfix patch, and it did increase its bleed damage by 130% more, so it pretty much does twice the bleed damage than before. And with that I thought, let's make a Deadeye, cause Deadeye can help with bleed stacking. So yeah, that was pretty much the idea to the build, and you are seeing now the first result. We are still level 75, so a long way still to go, but we can make a first prediction about how well the skill does. And as I'm clearing this boring tier 3 map, you see that the build has not the greatest clear speed, because our Reaper is, yeah, he's most of the time behind. And we have to use our Q skill, which is the summoning of the Reaper. And if he is already summoned, he gets a dash attack. And this dash attack yeah, brings him into a good position, makes a cone attack like you could see now here, this cone. And it's really hard to hit, and you always have to be ready to hit with it. But it does a decent chunk of damage, and it's also our main way to damage enemies. And yeah, we also have signal prey to mark enemies, which could also help. Because I think overall the AI from the Reaper Spirit is not the greatest, not really smart. I mean, if you attack the mobs, he kinda follows your attacks, but yeah, sometimes he just disappears. And it's sometimes hard to also use this dash attack. Like if there is an obstacle, he sometimes will charge against the obstacle and not through it, which makes you waste tons of mana. Because as you see, it costs a lot of mana to actually use the dash skill. And yeah, so clear speed is overall only decent, and that's probably the main critic I have on the skill. It does not scale with AoE. So it's kinda hard to make it a decent clear speed skill. Because yeah, if you could make this AoE bigger, then this skill probably would have a lot of potential, at least I think. As the damage is okay, and single target damage is also pretty okay. He gets some damage overall. He dies sometimes, but he is yeah, you're used to use your Q skill anyhow, so you can easily resummon him. And yeah, if I would use my Spirit Offering more often, he also would be surviving a bit more, because then he would have some more defenses. Yeah, and we can curse a bit, and we should curse, especially in a boss fight, because that helps our boss DPS by quite a lot. And yeah, our character is pretty tanky, because we have the benefits of being a ranger with going to the Templar tree area, so we are good in dodging everything, and also good in taking damage, having a decent life pool. Like we are level 75 with 4.2k life, and are going for full dodge, and wearing a tabula rasa, so pretty decent. I will quickly go through my equipment, and then I bring you to poedb to discuss a bit more late game possibilities of this spec. So here we have my bow at the moment, and this one is nothing crazy. It just and the damage is not so important, but its bows are important in the beginning of the game, because you will do a lot of damage, but it falls off, and so damage is not the main part we are looking for. But what we are looking for is the chance to bleed, because we try to have a high chance to bleed. Because then we can trigger our rupture, which I will talk about later. So yeah, chance to bleed, critical strike chance also actually important to trigger a rupture more often, and accuracy rating also a nice stat, because we want to hit the enemy. And at the moment I can't use precision nor war banner, which we could use in an endgame build with an enlighten, which would help us a lot with our chance to hit. And at the moment I'm using Rain of Arrows with Mirage, Archer, Main and Inspiration to reduce its mana cost and keep a decent... Yeah, I mean we can kill some leftover mobs, and Maim does increase our damage. And in the late game, you probably want to switch out Rain of Arrows for, if you have a 6th link, for Ensnaring Arrow, and then you go for greater projectiles and chance to bleed, so that you have a higher chance to bleed and have the always moving buff, because as we see later in the poedb, this will be a huge DPS increase for our character. And yeah, the question then is if we could manage to keep up life inspiration, or if we would need to go that our skills cost life instead of mana, because the mana cost might be high to spam the Q skill, and the Q skill has a lot of mana cost, and we are using cooldown reduction on our belt to make it more often usable, and it's probably, I think, a good idea to even get more cooldown reduction, because Q is our main DPS spell, and also good to bring him into other positions. Yeah. Using these gloves, nothing crazy about them, with Desecrate and Spirit Offering. Having some Chaos Boots, also nothing crazy, it's SSFHC. So gear is just what I crafted, but the increased critical chance on our first hit makes it more likely that we get at least the first Rapture stack out. And yeah, we are using Dash as the movement skill, our Curse. We're having a defensive Quiver, which helps us to leech a bit, some resistances. Nothing crazy here, also a lot of life, some mana regen. This cheap amulet helps us with our crit, has some decent mana and life, and also easy to get helmet for the beginning, and it does synergize well with Spirit Offering, block chance. So overall, my choice at the moment. And another, yeah, whatever ring, some resist, some mana, some damage, some accuracy. And our Tabula Rasa is corrupted with, yeah, you take whatever you have. Running Brutality, Minion Speed, the Summon Reaper, Predator, faster attacks, and melee physical damage. And there are skills, gems, which are more damage, like minion damage would higher than fast attacks in DPS, but I wouldn't advise it. The Reaper is overall pretty squishy, especially in this spec. So probably stay with fast attack. And you also might think, why not give him chance to bleed? Because he only has, by default, 50% chance to inflict bleeding. And yeah, that's true. But the problem is, as he is a minion, spell physical, chance to bleed actually does not work on him, as chance to bleed needs to support an attack. And he does not have the attack gem, so it does not work with him. And yeah, I have some random flasks at the moment. They are not quality up, most of them at the moment. And what would be smart, probably, this one is okay, I would keep this. But you probably want to have here that you recharge flasks on crit, because you are critting quite often. And yeah, that was pretty much the gear. Let's check out the poedb and check out some possibilities of our skill tree and some points of our damage. And you see Rain of Arrow does in the endgame pretty much no damage. That's not the case, because we are actually probably will switch out of it and go for our Reaper. And you see he does at the moment 168,000 life against Cyrus with 3 Rupture stacks. And remember that the increased bleeding damage on him, or on the minion, is not in the game, or not in the POB at the moment. So he also has less mana cost, but whatever. Because the support gems were also nerfed in mana cost. But yeah, he would have a lot more bleed damage, and if you activate Ensnaring Shot, your DPS goes quite up a lot. So you probably can easily reach 500k DPS on the minion, which is in my eyes a pretty decent DPS against Cyrus. And you're having ways to, yeah, probably increase the damage even further, if you would like increase the Pride Effect aura. And of course the gear set I will show you here later is also not really min-maxed. So there is some potential for this minion to do decent amount of damage. And also, what I want to say, the defenses of this build are pretty decent. You can see we have a huge hit point pool in every category, and yeah, good spec for HC, I think, overall. The only problem is because of the slow kill speed of the minion. You might get overwhelmed. That's probably the biggest problem. And this is the damage with Ultimate Slash. And I don't know, as you can see, it has at the moment 5 different attacks, 6 even. And I'm not sure what is. I think the Q skill, the dash, is the Ultimate Slash, but it also could be only the ultimate, and Ultimate Slash is if you consume a minion. I'm not sure about this. Whirl is probably the AoE attack he does sometimes, default attack, yeah, pretty much the default attack. And you can see Ultimate Slash is the main DPS skill. Default attack does some okay damage, and Whirl, the AoE attack, does not that much damage, but overall it should be overall enough for him to make a decent living, because we are helping him a bit with our non-existent DPS. And yeah, that's from the damage point of view. And you saw a bit of the skill tree. We are getting the dodge nodes here, trying to get avoidance. With a quiver and boots, we probably would get enough avoidance, and I think even the quiver alone would be enough to get max avoidance. We are getting the max nodes, but also really in the late game. My character does not have them because, yeah, I think they're not important for the beginning. And you probably start with Tailwind. Tailwind increases also the action speed of your Reaper by 8%, so it makes it really fast. And in the next one, because I'm playing pretty defensively, was going for Wind Ward, but probably in softcore you could take this as a last skill. And at the third one you probably would take Focal Point, but for science I took Rapturing in this place to see how much it does affect it, and I'm not sure, because you can't see the debuff on the enemy, so I'm not sure how much it really is up, how much it works, but I think overall, as you can see, like, it's a huge DPS loss if we would take it off our character, at least in theory. But yeah, also a decent decrease if we take our Focal Point up. And yeah, you're traveling to get to the Templar area to get some of the minion nodes at least, and some aura nodes, decent chunk of life overall, which you're getting. And yeah, this tree is at level 95. If you are even going higher, you probably will take another jewel slot. I think most likely you might go here for some accuracy and movement speed, but probably would just want another jewel at that point. Yeah, that's pretty much the tree. You can't level with a Reaper, and it's not a beginner spec, it's a difficult spec to play. You have to be really cautious to place your Reaper well and click a lot of buttons. And he's available at level 28. You could get him through the library quest as a ranger if you're not muling anything. And yeah, you're probably around this part of the tree at the moment. If you're getting him at 28, and you probably don't want him at level 28 because you probably want to be at least at this part, or this part of the tree, so that he does not die all the time at the beginning of the game. And you might go for early vitality and give him minion life so that he survives in the beginning. And probably the best moment to switch to the skill is when you're at this skill node, because I would advise you to start as a bow character and use Rain of Arrows just for clear, and get 2 points here and 2 points here. That helps you a lot with clearing, and at the beginning of the game, extra movement, extra life, extra damage, and that carries you probably through the game. So you're going like this, and then taking some here, going up, up, and at that point you can respec those 4 points, put it here, and with that node, which lets your minion damage actually affect yourself too, you pretty much get the same DPS as with those 4 skills. And yeah, from that on you can go with the character. And yeah, skill pretty much the same as I said. I'm not sure at some point you want to go for Ensnaring Arrow, and I definitely would like to try out Summon Phantasm, because he eats minion, and I'm still not sure. I tried it a bit with minions, and I'm not sure what it does. He should get empowered, but you really don't see it much. So I'm still testing what it will do, but if you have experience what happens if he eats enemies, then write it in the comments. I would be glad to hear. But if not, you probably could switch out the gem and get something else for some more DPS. And like in this case, we don't have chance to bleed, and we definitely would like to have chance to bleed on this setup. So yeah, I would advise probably start with Rain of Arrows, and at some point you need an ensnaring arrow for maximum DPS. But at that point you also want to get out of the spike arrow and switch to a penetrating arrow, so that you get at least one pierce in your equipment. And yeah, the gem I have here is with increased minion damage, accuracy, bleeding. So yeah, you just try to get your resistances, your life up, get some stats for the Reaper. I have at the moment taunt gems, just some generic gems, so nothing too crazy in them. You can definitely craft better gems for him, and they all have at the moment taunt, but I think taunt, I'm not sure if I would use it, because he's still squishy, especially on this build with 12.5k life. And I have anointed Ravenous Horde, so that he would get onslaught, which hopefully would help his clear speed a bit. But against bosses like Cyrus, maybe you would probably want Indomitable Army for some better resistances. And I don't know, I will see in the late game what might be more useful as an anoint. But yeah, his defenses are one of his weaknesses. So making him taunting, I'm not sure if it's that good. I'm using a blind one at the moment, and I think this one is really good. Having blind on him helps your defenses even more. And if you can see, I already have great defenses, I think, in my eyes. But if I would put it to blind, you can see it even goes higher. Does it go higher? Yeah, like it gives us another 7k effective HP, so and the blight is decently up, because he has kinda fast attack speed with all our supports. So yeah, not a bad build overall. I think, yeah, it's not a clear speed skill, it's more like cool looking skill. It's a fun skill. I wish he would scale with AoE, but he does not have the AoE tech. So yeah, that's probably his main weakness, and probably the point, or that at least his dash would scale with AoE. Yeah, that would probably help him a lot and makes the build a bit less stressful to play with. Yeah, I think that's all, at least what I'm thinking of now. So thanks everyone for watching. Leave a follow, leave a subscribe. Look at my Twitch, because I'm playing this build at the moment and trying to level it to endgame, and I hope I don't die. And you could watch me play it or try it yourself. What are your experiences with Reaper? He was pretty mediocre, because his Q cooldown. His cooldown was pretty high, and now it got halved. So now you can spam it more often, which also helped him a lot. And with the bleed buff and the cooldown buff, he's in a decent state, I think, but still not a real great state. But yeah, maybe you made other experiences with him. Tell it in the comment, and I hope I see you when I reach endgame to see or talk to you how well he did. So thanks everyone for watching. See you!